Hello everyone, I am Bradley Sward, Associate Professor of Computer Information Systems at the College of DuPage in Glen Ellen, Illinois. And this video is going to be part unlucky 13, or maybe lucky 13, of our series where we're going to make a game called Boxxle / Sokoban, and we're going to make it in GameMaker Studio 2. We have done that like 10 parts ago now. And we are pushing this thing into the C++ SFML engine. We're pretty well along. We're only, who knows, 3, 4, 5 parts away from completing the game and having a very small engine running underneath it. So what are we doing again? We're making the Sokoban game. A guy walks around. As in the previous video, we had him kind of moving around. We were tinkering with the engine, making sure things were working. He pushes blocks to the goals, and then we go, win. And 60/60, our 60 by 60 are going to be the tiles for this. And again, we're getting closer. We already kind of got the game going, at least the base game. At least we got the graphic up on the screen with all the objects placed there. We're getting closer again. But today's activity is going to take one step away again, and we're going to do animations. Oh, I thought he animated when I was doing it before. What happened there? Oh, there he goes. Oh, no. There he goes. I don't know why he didn't do it. There he goes. Exciting, right? A donut who's got a top hat and does the jig. Okay, so animations. So we're going to be able to set up, it's going to be one giant graphic, but we can break it up into smaller parts and make it actually look like it's an animation, right? Just kind of like take it, what do they call that? It's not a tile set in GameMaker. What the heck does it call? But anyway, you get the picture. Literally, there are several pictures put one next to each other in a graphic, and we can take that and basically cut it down and show a sub-image. And more specifically, we're going to take this giant image and we're going to tie it into a 16 by 16 animation set. So instead of printing out the entire image, we will have it actually print out, tell it which image specific frame out of this entire thing I want to show, and it will happily show it to me. So that's the goal for today. So here, I haven't changed anything from the previous Visual Studio project. For me, it's been 6 or so days since I've had a chance to come back and start fresh. So it's going to take me just a little bit to get back up to speed with what I did last time around and start pushing ourselves forward. We are definitely going to have to tinker with the object class today, SFMLObject. And I say, in the meantime, I don't want to ruin anything else we've got going because we have a pretty good game class going. So I'm going to create a quick and dirty header. I'm going to call this object tile set, and I am going to derive, like I have in other times, from game object. So I'm just going to steal. Can I steal goal? I can kind of steal goal here. And just at least to have something to start with. Where's my tile set? There it is. And so in this case, yeah, it needs an X and a Y position. I'm going to call it tile set. And then make my public constructor. That goes bad. And then go ahead and have me create the CPP file. And then go find tileset.cpp just so I can steal this as well. Or I mean, steal the, or is there anything? Let me see. Is there anything in the hero.cpp? Oh yeah, the step event and everything. We just need a constructor, so we don't necessarily have to worry about this. Oh, I have not added the graphic at all to anything else because I'm just getting this thing going here. So let's see. I need to pass in, and I'm going to call it tile set once I get this thing in here. I do have the graphic. I stole. I didn't steal it, but where did I put it though? I thought I put it in here. My resource files, I guess I didn't. So let me add existing item, and I'm going to go ahead and add, where's my tile set? There's my tile set, tileset.png. So there we go there. So I'm going to call it tile set here, and we'll change things as we go here. Right for the moment, there's nothing here. Okay, so coming back, going into my game initialization room.cpp. That's where I have all these textures and all these things set up. All I need to do is go ahead and say, hey, give me my tile set and put it and tie it into tileset.png. I believe it's PNG. Make sure it's PNG. Yep. Make sure. Yes. Open the file. So there it is. Good. So then I have that going for me, and then I'm stealing level 1 room.txt for this, and I'm using the Boxxle game room just for the time because I do not want to overwrite anything here. And so in the, oh, I don't have a constructor. Oh, is this the constructor? Oh, this is the constructor. I can create an instance. I'll have to, again, this is just to kind of get everything going. I'm going to, for the time being, comment everything out from the file because I only care about this one graphic right now. So I'm going to say instance create, give me a new tile set. So the goal for the moment is just to get the thing on the screen. So we'll put it at 0, 0, and we'll put it, and we'll call a new tile set, make sure this works. Let's see. Let's try it out. And it only took a little bit of time. There we go. And there is my graphic in its full glory on the screen. And so now it's my goal to turn this into a bunch of 16 by 16 tiles. So now the constructor for the SFML object is going to get a little bit of an overhaul here, and then again we'll fix things up as we go. So the 3 things need to be passed into an object, at its base level right now. It's X position in space, it's Y position in space, which resource tag do I want to associate with it. And now that I'm adding animations, what I want to add is how many horizontal frames exist inside the image and how many vertical frames exist inside of the resource image itself. And I'm going to set default parameters to 1 here. And that's exactly because then by default I shouldn't have to go out of my way to say 1, 1 because most things are just going to be one image. It's when I want to use an animation that I have to kind of go and use the advanced settings that I have under the hood here. So I can go ahead and just borrow these guys up. Go over here. Now I feel like I should go ahead and kind of change this up a little bit, make it a little nicer. When it comes to just being able to read what's going on, nicer is a frame of reference. It is either is or it isn't compared to your frame of reference. It's either ugly as heck or whatever, but there's a lot going on, obviously. Okay, so there we go. So I have this going on, and I don't have anything to go with it yet. And of course, everything should run again because at least I got the syntax of the constructor set up. And so now the question is how many of these images are there? And I don't rightly know the answer just yet, but I could go to the image and find out. So let me see if I can open up that image one more time. Hopefully it'll tell me information about it property-wise. Let's see. Oh geez, it won't tell me anything about it. Yeah, maybe it'll tell me down here. Tileset.png, any other information you want to tell me? No. I was hoping it would tell me the size and all of that kind of stuff. So what is it? Does it scream out yet? There we go. Okay, so it is this the whole thing? Let's see. It is, just looking at this, 640 by 592. So let's see, 640 divided by 16 is 40. So there should be 40 images in this thing horizontally. If I go back into my tileset.cpp, and I say, okay, and I'm going to pass along 40 for the tileset horizontally. And then if I did this, what did I say, 592 divided by 16, there should be 37 of these things going. That's a lot of frames, right? About 1,600 or so, 1,500 or so frames of animation to this thing. Well, this is definitely going to be a test of our system here. And so otherwise, so what it's going to do is take that image, divide it by 40 so that we know basically that it's a 16 by 16 tile. So we need to store this information inside of the object class as we pass this up, because right now, let's see, since there's only one object going into my scene, I can actually hit the breakpoint and see that I'm passing the 40 and the 37 in. So my game object class, on top of everything else that's been stored, needs to store this information, and an int horizontal frames and int vertical frames. All right, there we go. So then horizontal frames gets horizontal frames, uppercase gets lowercase, and same goes for vertical frames, uppercase gets lowercase. And let's see, build this up, make sure it builds. Very happy. I have a warning somewhere. Well, let's check out that warning. Let's fix it up if we can. Where is this? Let's make it a size Get rid of that warning. Let's boom, 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 boom. All right, everybody's happy. Okay, so we're good, ready to move on. So then my next question would be, if I could just go ahead and just print out one of the tiles, just print out one of the take this giant image and break it down into one tile. How would I go about doing it without even taking into effect all the automaticness that we're going to be adding to this, just like GameMaker has this animation frame, add an image speed, add an image index, all of these details. And it just comes down to this line of code right here. And just for the moment, I'm putting it into the draw event where I'm saying set the texture rectangle, and I'm saying, oh, set it to 0, 0, and that is relative to the upper left-hand corner of the image itself. And I'm just saying, okay, 16 and 16, that's the width and that's the height. That's not the end position. For this, it's X position, Y position, horizontal size, and vertical size. And when I run this, this comes up, and it's hard to tell, but that is image 0, right? Of that giant image, whatever kind of bug that is, or whatever kind of thing that is. Here's my tile set, and you can see, and it's the full image. So I have everything correctly. I have the math right, and so now it's just a matter of starting to automate this thing. And we're going to start automating this thing by using and by taking over and creating functions for image index, and image speed. Yeah, so we definitely need these things before we go ahead and get started by trying to figure out exactly where to draw this thing. Or this should never change. The 16 and the 16, at least with this image, should never change because once the graphic is kind of baked in, it's baked in. However, we need a way to figure this out at compile time, and we can use the horizontal frames, vertical frames thing, and we can do all, we will do this. Let's just kind of get going here with this. So I want to say, I'm going to use the term image index. Basically this is get image index, and then void set image index, and then pass in a float for the value. And then the same goes for speed. And so now one more things we have to account for, these variables there's nowhere inside of the API calls that I can actually do anything about this. So I need to set up more variables, right? We're just making it more and more complicated. I'm using floats, make sure I'm using floats. So I can say, okay, oops, I'm going to call this, what am I going to call this? Image index. I'm going to use this, I've been burned by this a few times already in these videos. Image index as a name versus image index, or a function name as a image index as a variable name. We're going to have some issues with that. So I put the underscore in there on purpose. It's just complicated on our end, but it makes it easier on the end user. So image index, we're just going to initialize this thing to 0, and image speed is going to be initialized to 1. Fair enough, right? I did all the work. No, I erased it. Okay, leave that like that. I'm sorry. I'm going to leave it to 0. Make it on U to change the image speed. I really don't like that about GameMaker, that the thing flies off. I know it's there to show you, oh, I'm animating, but I generally don't like it. If you wanted to put it at 1, you can put it at 1, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, so the thing is, when we go to, okay, so first off, the thing is, let's set up the functions. And so create a declaration index here. Boom, where does it go? That's always the fun. Where did these things go in space? In my code. There's a lot going on here. Okay, good. So this, just return image index, right? And then the same for the get, just return image speed. Okay, so when I set the image index one way or another, I want to make sure that the value is something that's valid. In our case, we're using a huge animation frame, right? We're using a number of animation frames. There's like 1,300 or 1,400 of these things, but I want to make sure that the value coming in is correct value, and it basically transforms to somewhere between 0 and the number of images minus 1, because I don't want to go outside the bounds, because then the math will get screwed up and it won't draw anything correctly. And GameMaker, that's how GameMaker animates the sprite and lets the animation continue and start over fresh. It just, once it gets to the end, brings it to 0, or when it gets to the front, brings it back to the end. So in this case, I can say, okay, so my value is equal to value mod, and if I did this right, then it would be horizontal frames times vertical frames. So in theory, this should give us a, as long as that value comes in as a positive number. Oops, what is wrong here? Expression must have an integral or unscoped type. Because this is an int, this is an int, value is a float. Oh, okay. So, so instead of using this, I'll use fmod. Use the fmod function, and I'll just say value divide, or what is it, the two values, value horizontal frames divided by v frames. And it's just floating point modulus is all it is. Give me a left, give me a right. I'm just going to take value and I'm going to divide it by this, and I'm going to get the value out of it, whatever the fmod is. And so C# allows you to do floating point mods, which is probably in part of the language standard, I believe. Anyway, it's been a few years since I've used some C# deeply, but anyway, coming back. But the only thing is, because of the way modulus works out, I could actually have a negative value come out of this. So I just have to do one more check here and just say if value is less than 0, and all I have to do is then add and they say make it work, and then if you ever wanted to go back later and play with it again to make it work better, because right now I'm doing this multiplication twice, and that's pretty slow if I'm going to be doing this every game frame for many objects. But at the end of the day, if my modulus turns out negative and my value for my image index is a negative value, and then I will go ahead and just add the value of the number of frames to get back to a value in the correct range of 0 from 0 to frames -1. Because if this was -1, we want this to be like 1300 something, because we're just one off goes all the way around to the back end. And so, and then set image speed. Oh, this is get set, and this should be just as simple as saying image speed is equal to value. And you're like, okay, so what do I do about this? So on a frame-by-frame basis, we want this thing to animate, and so we can use these functions, and I can just go ahead and find wherever my step event is here. So now we have speed, we have alarm, and now we can actually affect the animations, and we can say that my image speed of set image index to image index plus image speed. So on a frame-by-frame basis, and we could put an if guard around this because it is a lot of work. If this image speed is 0, don't do any work. But again, let's just get this thing working before we worry about it, right? Before we worry about any efficiencies. So I can say, get my current image index, add my image speed, and try to set it, because of course, again, this will automatically, this set image index function, instead of just trying to do it in there, will make sure that the value gets transformed into the correct range. So one way to test this is, since it's already, so I moved this and I actually added it to the step event, and let's see, where's my tile set? And so I need to take over, for tile set here, I need to take over the step event, virtual void step override, and go implement this thing. Oh, come on, let me implement this. There we go. And so now I need tileset.cpp. And what I can do here, got to remember to call, here I will set aside and say set image speed to 1.0, I guess one float. And then in a step-by-step, do I need to do anything? I don't know, but let's just call the parent to make sure things are working. SFMLObject, ::step. And what I want to do here is because we can't see anything just yet because we haven't worked on the actual animation, but what I want to do for the brief moment here is just print out on a step-by-step basis to the debug window. Whoops, I'll need to include IOStream to make this thing work. I'll need to see out the image index value. So this is going to go on a frame-by-frame basis, 60 frames per second. I should probably put a space or something, or an end line or something like that, just so. So let's see what we see. Scared me there for a second. We'll fix up there was a warning that popped up. Okay, so, oh, well, there's my image and there's my 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And so I set the image speed to 1, but it did not seem to do any good. So let's see what happens here. So I go in, I hit this, image speed is equal to 1. All right, that's what I was expecting. So now what, right? So I've created the instance. I'm going ahead, changing the room. I'm going ahead, step event, current room step. So let's see, I got to go to current room step one more time. F, go in. What the world? There we go. For every object in my scene, I should only have one object in my scene, right? It should be my where I'm missing in here. Tile set. It is tile set. So let's go ahead and pull the step event out and go, here we go. And I'm calling in, okay, give me this image speed. Let's see what we get. 11, F11 to go in. Set image index plus plus plus. So how can I get that information without here? Image index is 0, image speed is 1, and so the image index should be set now to 0. It's still set to 0. So let me go back into this one more time, run this again, hit this and go in one more time. F11, get me the image index, which is 0. Get me the image speed, which is 1. Add them together and set to 1. So let's see what we get here. I'm going to set value 1, value 1, horizontal frames is 40, vertical frames is 37. Oh, I'm an idiot with the Fmod. Okay, so yes, that is me being, no, that's putting a 1. So let's see, value is 1. Hold on here. I think I'm doing it wrong with the Fmod because I need a whole number. That's not giving me a whole number. No, it's giving me a whole number. But it's printing 0 every time. Okay, enough hemming and hawing. There's one of those, yep, I talked myself into a big one here. I'm changing the value here, but I'm not doing anything with it at the end of the day. So when I'm done with this thing, I can finally say image index is equal to value. Whatever the modified value is, everything should now, I haven't tested it, should always test it. Here we go, finally. There's my graphic image. And there is the fact that I'm going through all these frames, 60 per second. So let's see, it should go up to 1300 or so, right? Phew, problem solved. Sorry about wasting your time there. But if it happens to me, it happens to everybody. So let's see, getting close, 1390, 1400, there we go. So, and then it cycles back around. And if I want to try this again for my tile set object, instead of using a positive one, I can use a negative one. So so it goes right back down. It goes downwards, and then so it's already going downwards frame by frame by frame. Here's my graphic image, and give it about 10 seconds here, and then we have ourselves a deal here where it's going to wrap around again from 0 back to 15 or 1600 or whatever the number is going to be. So a couple more seconds. Looking good. All right, and come back around, 0, 0, 0. There it goes. So good. So I'm happy with that. So then we have the wraparound effect, and now the final step for this animation is to just go ahead and figure out how to turn that image index into the correct values for what position in space or what position in the image do I want this thing to draw. This is like a giant fetch quest here, because it's like, in order to do this, I need to do that. Then you go there and you're like, hey, if I'm going to do this for you, you need to go do that. So I do need to set up a couple functions here. These are just get functions. I need to know the integer value for the sprite width. And I need to know the integer value for the sprite height. I just need it, right? I'm going to need to know this so I can do some math to figure out how to break this thing down into a subpart. Because we hard-coded the 16 up here, right, like wherever this is here. I hard-coded the heck out of this thing right now. But that's not right, right? This 16 and 16 needs to be basically the number of pixels, the actual width of the actual texture divided by the number of animation frames horizontally or vertically that I'm going to try to break this image into. So it's going to turn out to be 16 by 16, but we need this function to do this for us, and we can't just rely on this because there could be one image inside it horizontally, or it could be 10 or 100. That number has to be given to us. So this is pretty simple again. Like, all of this stuff is just at a high level, very understandable. There's really not a lot to, just when it comes to just, like, oh, it's like it doesn't make much sense, at least at this level, right? There's a lot of math and a lot of this, but what this is, I need to get the sprite, and I need to get the, let's see, I need to get the texture, let's see, and then I need to get, it's been a while here, is it in here? Get maximum size. I gotta think about this. How do I get to there? I'll find it and I'll give it right back to you. Looks like I was staring at it the whole time here. So it's basically I need to get the sprite, tell me get the texture, and from there get me the size of the texture, get me the x coordinate of that, and then divide that number, because it should be about 640 if I remember right, divide that by the number of horizontal frames, which is 40, and it's this integer division here, so I get myself an integer return type, and my sprite width will be the 16, 640 divided by 16. And same goes for the sprite height. I need the texture, get the size, the y coordinate, divide by the number of vertical frames, and I still will get the 1616 that I deserve. So coming back up here to draw this thing out, like set the texture rectangle here. Now I can do for this specific object, I can call sprite width and sprite height, and the 0, 0 will stay intact. Uh-oh, is this thing not happy with me? Why is it not happy? Oh, these are functions. That's why. Let's see what this does now. Okay, so now if I did this right, everything should be the same. And at this point I'm out of luck to give here. Okay, it's compiling, it's running. I'm like, what's going on here? Okay, good. And so as you can see here, it's still drawing 0, 0 with a 16 by 16. So I didn't do the math wrong, because the sprite width function, F11, go in here. This value is coming out. Vertical frames is 37. Get size. Oh, I guess I can't do that. Can I do that? Nope. I can't see what that ends up being. But as you can tell, it's coming back 1616 because it's drawing it right. Oh, let me see. Can I get texture rectangle at all? Sprite. Let me see if I can get in here. Texture rectangle is 0, 0, 16, 16. So yes, it's doing the math correctly. And so now our last step is to figure out how to draw, instead of 0, 0, where in this image do I need to draw this thing so it draws the correct image frame. And we're one step away from having animations complete. So just to explain what the actual problem we're trying to accomplish here, we're trying to take the current image index, so it starts as a 0 and it works its way up or down, whichever number this thing is, from 0 to 15 or 1600 or whatever. We need to convert that into the very specific upper left-hand corner pixel number of that subimage. So 0, 0 is perfect. But as I'm moving, so for image 0, I want 0, 0. But for image 1, I want 16, 0. And then for image, what was this, 40 across? For image 40, I want this to be 0, 16, and so forth and so on. So I need to figure out, first I got to figure out basically if this was just like a matrix, and then, I just give me like this is 0, 0, this is 0, 1, or 1, 0, and 2, 0, and 3, 0, and 3, 1, and 3, 2, and 3, 3. First off, just get me that XY coordinate, and then we can take that XY coordinate, take the X, multiply it by the width, and then take the y coordinate and multiply by the height, and we can get that position from there. So let me see if I can kind of work it out for you here. I'm going to do it so that you're not watching me hem and haw. So here the draw event is in all of its glory. And so again, I'm trying to find basically if this was a matrix or just like a two-dimensional array, what would be the XY value of that tile? So I could say, get me the current image index, mod it by the number of horizontal frames. And I'm going to multiply this eventually by sprite width, but I'm saying, so this is saying if I was at least in our case here, at animation frame 0, 0 mod 40 will get me 0. And if I'm at 39, for image frame 39, 39 mod 40 will get me 39. So this will get me everything up from 0 to 39 across. And then if I go to 40, 40 mod 40 will get me 0. So it'll bring me back. So 0 to 39, 0 to 39. So that handles the horizontal components. And now vertically, it's the same kind of deal here. Instead of modding the thing, now we're dividing, because everything, integer division, I'm static casting to int, every time I'm taking a value between 0 and 39 and dividing it by 40 as an integer, I'm getting 0. And as I move up to 40, 40 divided by 40 gets me 1, and 40 all the way up to 79 will get me 1, and then 80 will get me 2. And so as long as the image index is correct values, at least in our case here, I'll get 0 to 39 horizontally, 0 to 37 vertically, and then all I have to do is take that and multiply it by the sprite width, multiply the y by the sprite height, use to make sure the widths and the widths, the heights and the heights are appropriate, and then I can draw the sprite as I want to. And I'm just printing out the x's and y's just to kind of make sure it's working right. But you can see here, my speed is going pretty, I sped up my guy this pretty fast here just to test it out. But you can see the animation frame is going, there's, and I'm almost confident, I'm 99.9% sure that I have it working right now. And so you can see that I'm cycling through, and again, I picked a really small sprite, but I stress tested, I feel like, right? So this would take a long time to get up to 37 with the speed that I already have. And so like I can already see that the horizontal goes up to 39, because there's from 0 to 39, right? So let's just make sure one more time, 0 to 39, and then it comes back to 0. Yep. Okay, so that works. So if I go back and speed my tile setup tenfold, and then, talk while I'm doing it, 1.f here, and just keep going, you'll see that it'll go up to 37, because there's, is it 37? Let me see if I can find out real fast here. Let me hit the breakpoint, and can I mouse over this for this object? The image index is 661. Horizontal frames is 40. Vertical frames is 37. So this should go from 0 to. So this is going from 0 to 39. This should go from 0 to 36. Come on, help me out here. Yep. So it should go from 0 to 36 if I'm doing this right. And so 15, 16, 17, so forth. I'll be quiet for a brief moment here as we get closer. And 35, 36, and back to 0. So it's doing everything correctly. And so the only last thing to do is just to test, if you want to go ahead and test to make sure that every image is the image you expect it to be drawing. And so one way to do that is just to slow this thing down quite a bit. And so you can go ahead and test your image against the true image. Let me see if I can. No, I'm not even going to worry about it. So I go, okay, here we go. And you could, if you saw the pure image, you would see that it is going horizontally as it's supposed to. Very slowly, of course, because I'm trying to make sure, test it out one by one by one by one, that it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. Let me see if I can find that image real fast. All right, so here it is. I can run my program. I can see this, I can see this, and then I pull in the image. Where is my image? Oh, where is my, oh no, I had it open. Oh no. Where's the thing? I have, oh, duh. Here we go. Bring it down, make it bigger. Oh, son of a gun. Always something, right? So let's see. 20, oh goodness, where are we? Dog with this one, this the white dog, the blue dog, the white dog, orange something, the orange something, and then you say keep on going, and we'll know so we'll wait about 10 more seconds here. I think it's about 10, 15 more seconds, and we should hit the snagglepuss here, whatever this thing, the orange snagglepuss, when we get back to 1, 0. So we'll see it'll be orange guy, and then without snagglepuss, and then snagglepuss 2. to finish it off. There it is, and there he is. Good. So, yep, I'm happy with it. I think we have animation going. And if it's broken, if something's not working right, we can fix it later. But it looks like it's pretty good for pretty much a stress test. This thing can handle 1,600 different animations with that one graphic file loaded up. So thanks for sticking with me here. The tile set, now that we have this working, the tile set is good and done. So now what we can do is move on to the main menu, and we can, now that we have an animation, now we can set up a button class. So we'll have to set up some new functionality to determine if a point in space is within the bounds of a sprite. Now that we have all this information, we can get the sprite width and height. We know where it's positioned in spaces. We know a lot of things. We can do the math. We can figure the things out. So that's where we're going next. But as always, swardb@cod.edu is where you can get a hold of me if I did something wrong, or if something's going on here that you don't understand, or if I went too fast through something and you can't see what I'm doing, or can I do something better? I know I can do some of these things better, but I got it working. That's the first step. So anyway, thanks again. Thanks for sticking with it. Hope to see you in the next video. See you next time.